And I want to be clear, this is a community check-in. This is not a dragging session of Nakia Stevens. This is not a dragging session of Keke Palmer. We're really here to talk about the show because everyone keeps asking, who was this for? Who was this written for? Who is the audience? Who? Who? The answer is me. I was supposed to be the target audience for the show. Southern Fried Rice, Tone Deaf, or Distorted Mirror. Hey babes, I'm the Luna Scorpion, aka Wilhelmina Simone, your black, queer, radical femme of this big, messy web, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, we talk about anything that's black, queer, anime, video games, and more from a queer, progressive lens. And today we're talking about Southern Fried Rice by Keke Palmer and Nakia Stevens. So I was doing some research on Southern Fried Rice, and there's actually a book named Southern Fried Rice by Dr. John Jong from 2005. And it was about an Asian laundromat like a Asian family who grew up in the South, and they owned a laundromat. And it was a book about that experience, about being Asian in a black community in North Carolina. But today we're not talking about Dr. John Jong's Southern Fried Rice book and memoir. We're talking about the show, the web series written by Nakia Stevens and executive produced by Keke Palmer. If you're watching this, you probably have already heard about it, maybe even seen it, or at least watched the trailer. But I'm actually not here to talk about Keke Palmer, and we're going to be having a more nuanced conversation about what happened with this show. So let's dive in. But before I begin, I wanted to give some disclaimers and give some context to what we're talking about because it's been some time now. So first, I love Keke Palmer, and I do not know Keke Palmer. I love to support Black women. I love to support Black creators, and I want to make that clear that we are giving critique in our opinion, but we are not here to talk shit about anyone because being a creator is hard, being a Black creator is harder. So we're actually here to talk about what can we learn from this and how can we do better, especially as independent Black creators. So just for some context, Southern Fried Rice is about Coco, a Korean girl who was adopted in Korea by a Black family and raised in the South, and is going to an HBCU for her college experience. We are watching the coming of age of a Korean American girl in a Black environment so she can find herself. Quoting the trailer, just to be specific. And I want to be clear, this is a community check-in. This is not a dragging session of Nakia Stevens. This is not a dragging session of Keke Palmer. We're really here to talk about the show because everyone keeps asking, who was this for? Who was this written for? Who is the audience? Who? Who? The answer is me. I was supposed to be the target audience for the show. I am a queer Black girl from New York. I grew up with a diverse, myriad, varied experience of people and communities. My neighbors were Chinese and Jamaican, and my other friends were Vietnamese and Dominican, and everyone was Latino, African, a mix of all the things. And this was supposed to be the show for me. I am the Black girl who loves anime. I love video games. I'm learning Japanese. I can't wait to take my first solo trip to Europe. And I have a lot of Black friends, I have a lot of Asian friends, and I have a lot of Blasian friends. My dad worked at Kawasaki while growing up. I remember dressing up as in a traditional Chinese outfit for my elementary school's international fashion show. I was the girl. I was the girl they wrote the show for. And yet it still missed the mark. It still felt like it wasn't for me. So that's what I want to explore with my analysis of Southern Fried Rice. Because I don't think it's necessarily tone deaf. Though I agree with a lot of those sentiments, I believe it's a distorted mirror because of the writer, the creator of this. When I was writing this, I was thinking about all the things that I grew up seeing in terms of Black and Asian solidarity, and that was one of the first things that I noticed when watching this was, is this to create Black and Asian solidarity in a time where we're facing regime? And when you're creating something over 10 years of your life, something that is close to your heart, I can imagine that some of the things that once were true then maybe aren't true now or are presenting themselves in a different way. Like you asked me, like, oh, how long have you been doing your documentary though? It's been like 10 years, right, Nina? Like, let's not be the, pot calling the kettle black. And I also had to recognize that I do have to re-interview some of the subjects that I once talked to those 10 years ago, and have to build and create context around when I created my documentary in 2017 is when Trump was first inaugurated versus when I am premiering it is during his second administration. Giving context to, let's say, my documentary that's told over 10 years of time that it grew into is my coming of age, and how that affected me as an adolescent, how that affected me and my identity as a Black queer femme. And I thought about Yuri Kochiyama holding Malcolm X's head when he took his last breath. I think about all the Black boys watching Naruto and doing their Naruto run when we were kids, and Asian kids rapping. I think of K-pop and the Blackaboo epidemic. I was more than excited when I saw Southern Fried Rice, because I know there is a bridge to be built, burned, restructured when it comes to Black and Asian solidarity and Black and Asian animosity within the two communities. So I was like, show, what happened? What happened? Why is everyone dragging the show to and fro? To and fro. What is happening? So I watched all 7 episodes, not once, not twice, but 3 times by myself and with friends, to make sure that I had a comprehensive understanding, that I was supporting the writer in the ways that I could, and that I'm approaching this as I would approach any friend and writer in the industry that I'm also in. So yeah, so let's look at this with an open heart, an open mind. The show's creator said this in her Instagram post. Why this? Why now? Now, in 2025, in a time when DEI initiatives and affirmative action policies are under intense scrutiny, a topic we explore in the series, Southern Fried Rice, doesn't come just to entertain. It doesn't come to provoke, it comes to reflect. It reflects on what happens when you grow up immersed in a culture because of the environment you're adopted into, not just your biology. It asks, when the shape of your identity surprises the world, how do you navigate privilege? And the next slide says, but first, let's start further back. And so now the creator of the show is taking us back, all the way back to when she was a little girl and how she grew up. That little girl was just very curious about, and she had a Southern Black family, and that she never accepted things at face value, and that her curiosity grew from classrooms into airports into storytelling. Her whole inspiration on becoming a filmmaker, and now she's showing us, who she is in the 11th grade, and how she went to Savannah State University, which was an HBCU. She brings us through her college career of being in student government, leadership boards, Queen coalitions, and being a student orientation leader. So I'm already getting the cues of like college being like the highlight. You know how some people have like, they only talk about high school for some reason? I don't know. Right now, at my age of 28, 29 years old, the people who still talk about college and high school like it's their heydays probably maybe feel like they reached their peak there too, like they're holding on to something from there, because this is a long post to talk about, which is fine because I get it. I be talking about my journey into how I got here too, so you know what, exactly. So, but what she then talks about is how she goes to study abroad in China, and she was doing a foreign exchange program in the Cape Coast, Ghana, and a study abroad program in Shanghai and in Beijing, China. She talked about living in China, doing creative writing there, and how she was assisting the other foreign exchange students from China come to the HBCU that she attended at Savannah State. So that's where she's saying that this expanded her storytelling palette. This is where she got the inspiration to write Southern Fried Rice. That she was at Savannah State University. She was eventually introduced to a group of Chinese exchange students and she was assigned to them to navigate their life at the school.
Over there? Over in China?
No, over here in Savannah State University. So, and now, if you see, like, it's just a bunch of black girls with Chinese girls who pledged. And, yeah, she had to help them do college events. And, yeah, basically she was the observer of Coco in the series, if we put it in that way. And so I at first thought it was the experiences, or to the effect that she wanted to be an Asian girl. Like, when I first saw Southern Fried Rice, I was like, oh, the writer wanted to be Coco. The writer wanted to be Coco, and this is how she maybe would have felt, how her experience was if she was Coco. That's how it read, without knowing who the writer was, knowing anything about the scrutiny and back and forth on X and Twitter and all that stuff, and the criticisms that came with it. Because I was open to watching it without having to hear other people's opinions of it. One of the things that I did end up seeing before I watched the series was that it felt like it was dated in a way that they didn't understand why was she putting this out now. From how Coco dressed, from her perm. I'm not sure if her hair is naturally curly like that. That was a big concern. To how she talked, like, if you adore me, dior me, you know, and putting a black scent on an Asian girl and the stereotypes that came with that. When she continues in this, if their first time in America is at an HBCU, how will their perspectives be shaped after experiencing life through a black lens? That question never left me, and it was initial seed for her script, Southern Fried Rice. And then, yeah, over time she developed this. Since 2015. The main backlash that I saw that I agree with is that it was poorly written. For some reason, in that writer's room, it was a yes man room. No one told her this ain't it. No one told her this ain't it. So I am an independent filmmaker, and I have also worked in Hollywood. When you are on the sets, before you even step onto set, there is a room of people approving each line, each prop, each outfit, each line item budget on any production. And when I was watching this and seeing how Keke Palmer spoke to the writer, the creators' endurance, persistence, and work ethic, I was surprised that with all the black producers and writers and creators on this show, that so many things that could have been prevented in criticism got through. I.e., a bigger black woman being casted as a hotep, angry black girl who does not like this Asian girl and calls her Miss Tokyo. Like, as if we have not traversed times with hotepery and bigger black women being labeled and stereotyped as angry and bitter. Okay, but Mina, your stuff has been taking 10 years too, and that's why I've been recording myself over time. That's why I've made different iterations of it. That's why I've had other people come into the room and be like, this ain't it. Bring it back to the editing suite. Get a new editor. Find a new archivist. Figure out the graphics. Bring some levity into it. Why is it so somber? What happened in 2017 that's different or the same in 2025? How are we bridging these gaps? How are we making something evergreen? Because the problems and the issues and the social climate of this show can stand in evergreen content and evergreen media. What it's like being an Asian woman in a black environment isn't necessarily new under the sun. There are black Asian people, Blasians from the Bay, Asian people who grew up in the South. There are Asian Caribbeans, Asian Jamaicans. This is not something that's groundbreakingly new that these mistakes had to be made. If there is one creator, there's usually a script producer, a script coordinator. There was a few times during the show that it read as a minstrel show when it was the HBCU Wednesday and it was Fried Chicken Wednesday. Let's look at this clip here.
They got fried chicken and mac and cheese every Wednesday, Pookie. You don't follow WDs on TikTok? No, why? Girl, that's where you're gonna find all the tea. Fried Chicken Wednesdays at the HBCU is where it's at. Mm-hmm. Not only is the soul food capital B blessing, but also, everybody got that shit on.
They do get dressed up to eat fried chicken on Wednesdays. That is exactly what you just heard. And so I feel like taking black caricatures and then just putting them on an Asian girl and saying that is what black culture is and that is only what she grew up seeing, while her cousin is pregnant working at Walgreens because she got pregnant before graduation, fresh out of high school, and isn't going to this HBCU. The argument that it's tone deaf, it's dated, it's bordering a minstrel show. And can we say that those critiques are wrong? Can we say that the audience that watched each and every episode more than once like I did can have critiques and criticism about the show and the blatant stereotypes that it's perpetuating? When those critiques and criticisms come in, how is a creator supposed to handle them? I think that is more important than the mistakes that are made sometimes, is how we hold each other in this community. As creators, as Black people, entertainers, how do we correct each other when it comes to, is the call is coming from inside the house? And this is more of a question for you. Some people said they only watched the trailer and they were already turned off and they already didn't want to watch it. One of the reasons being that we are not in a time where we can afford to decenter Black women and center other people in our environments. I know the creator says that this is to defend DEI and affirmative action initiatives, but if the critique is that this is decentering Black women and propping up stereotypes and caricatures, why is the person challenging the creator the unintellectual one? When the creator was criticized, their reaction to it was, you guys aren't getting it. You're not intellectual enough. This is for the intellectuals. This is for the people who get it. Those who get it, get it. Those who don't. I understand that being a creator means you're going to be sensitive about your shit. Hands down, I'm not going to sit here and say that she was supposed to have the perfect reaction to you guys dragging her. You guys were dragging her. Things could have been said nicer, better, with more nuance, which is why we're here. And shunning the audience who gave their time to you and calling them anything but thank you for your time in watching this, I'll take it into consideration, shows that why did you make this in the first place if it wasn't for us and by us, if it's not really about us? I'm not sure on Key TV the Black audience was going to connect with an Asian girl with bamboo earrings and a bad perm and a body wave bundles. I'm gonna go see if this is her natural hair pattern. I'm gonna go check myself. There was this one critique here. I'm going to put this on the screen. And it came from the post that we read together. Beautiful story, and I see why you want to bring those experiences to the screen, one of the comments says. However, the political climate we are in makes it hard for many Black folks, myself included, to welcome being decentered in what is supposed to be a Black space. From the trailer, it seems at least one of the characters, a Black woman, plays an antagonistic, too woke role in the protagonist's life. Why perpetuate those negative stereotypes that put us at odds with each other, with other groups, and diminish our lived experiences? Your creativity is valued. It seems like your storytelling is captivating. Judging from this post, that said, I think it's important to listen to the voices calling the show out from a place of genuine concern for how media spaces shapes and reflects cultured and lived experiences. Responds, I appreciate your comment. However, I want you to realize a key thing you said. From the trailer, it seems, meaning you haven't seen the show. I'm willing to have a conversation with folks who have informed opinions, but not folks with dissertations about what the entirety of something is without even seeing it. So no, I don't have to listen to half-baked takes. Now, if you'd like to catch the entire season where we address many of the topics we are engaged about, I'd love to chat about that. The person then goes back and forth with her, basically saying, like, I hear you, and I agree that my perspective is limited, but isn't the intention of a trailer to attract viewers to a show? I'm not sure if you should really be arguing with your audience. Trailer or show or not, having a response and defending your art or going into context and into depth about why you created something is always welcomed. I do think that when you create for one company, one production company, that allots you privileges, that allots you to be in a comfort zone that does not allow you to stretch your capacities and thresholds for criticism, for growth, for being like, damn, I made something not that fucking great this time, and taking time to reflect on it. One of my favorite quotes from another Black creator, Felicia Pride, is that creative work is self-work. And so when I say that this is a distorted mirror, I wonder how the creator sees themselves when creating a show about a non-Black person at an HBCU in a way that doesn't reflect the community that it sets out to serve. It's evident in the scene footage, it's evident in the critiques and comments, and it's evident in a way that is surrounding Keke Palmer and criticism and how that production company works in general. The same way it would be anywhere if you haven't had other people create with you and you're only used to creating with people who are invested in your long-term growth as a creative and are there for a profit, a bottom line, a viral moment, rather than a craft of a story for a community and a bigger culture that is already exploitative as is. Also, this was $500,000 into a project when Hollywood is burning down. And this was the $500,000 you guys wanted to put into this? See YourPainWasBornHere.com to see how you can support other Black creators like myself with your criticisms, critiques, and opinions and considerations. Welcome. If Black culture is something you can put on and take off, what is this show showing that she has lived? And at the end, if she has known nothing, that she knows nothing, then what have we learned with her besides stereotypes that we've already known that we've been trying to break? And so you're probably asking, girl, what are you talking about? Was there any character development? Who is Coco? What has she learned in her first few weeks or semester at an HBCU as a Korean girl? The verdict is that she's not Black. That's what she learned, guys. She learned she's not Black. The last episode is her being a savior complex, telling the police officer, we good, when the baby daddy of her cousin finds out that she's getting and they're cursing each other out while she's dressed up in a martial arts outfit for Halloween. And that's why she knows nothing. She thought she really knew what it was like to be Black and saw the cops there and was like, actually, I don't know. This has never happened to me. And then they ran to her. Are you okay? Yo, this shit was so stupid. I would have loved to see them talk about the N-word with all these Black people, one Asian girl, and no one ever said nigga. But when I watch all this K-pop Blackaboo nonsense, they're saying nigga up and down. A Black girl just killed herself because the anime community bullied her for being a Black cosplayer. Why didn't the creator pick an actual foreign exchange student if that was her experience that she pulled from? Why make her an adoptee and not explore that depth? Why have her go to an HBCU and not go to UCLA and try to connect with her Korean culture in K-Town? I would have loved to talk more about why her parents were in Korea to begin with. You know, I think that was a deeper story. Why this? But deeper. Dragging creators to and fro, whatever. This just wasn't a good show. That's my. I was trying to be deep here, and guys, and be deep and shit, and be like, yeah, I'm a Black girl who loves Asian culture and Black culture, and want to stand in solidarity with my Asian Black brothers and sisters. And this show wasn't it. The best part of the show was the lesbian B plot between the RA and the Little Miss thing. Did you watch it? Are you not watching it? Are you guys boycotting Southern Fried Rice? Not the memoir, the show? What would you have liked to see in this series? In conclusion, representation matters. However, why you're representing and how you're representing matters more. Intention over impact, people. So babes, friends, loves, comment down below. Do creators owe us an explanation for their art? Do creators need to give context and explain to their audiences why and how something came about? I think because of podcasts and interviews and like e-news and press tours, we're used to people telling us their inspiration for movies and films and their scripts and where characters came from and how they created them. But is that something we're entitled to as observers and audience members? Comment down below. Let me know. Like, subscribe, share this.